Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Seth, one of the co-hosts of Engaged Podcast, to bring you another great episode of Engaged Podcast. Today, we sit down with Joseph Altenor of the Haitian Sensation in Sharon, PA. Listen, if you live in the Sharon and Hermitage area, you know of this place. And if you don't know this place, you should. The food is fantastic. Not only is the food fantastic, the atmosphere of the restaurant is fantastic, but Joseph is by far one of the best, in my personal favorite guests we've ever had on the show. This podcast felt like it took 15 minutes. That's how just completely engaged we were as the hosts and how engaging he was as a guest. This guy has such a great story. He has such a great mission. He has the biggest heart of any person I've ever met, and it was such a pleasure to have him. So sit back, relax, open your mind, and engage with us as we listen to today's episode of Engage Podcast. Give it up for our friend, Joseph Altenor of the Haitian Sensation.
Welcome back to Engaged Podcast. We have the great privilege of sitting with Joseph Altenor here at the Haitian Sensation, located at 869 East State Street in Sharon, Pennsylvania. We are, again, sitting here live, so if you hear phones ringing in the background or glasses clanking, we're real. We're hot right now.
Yeah.
So we're here again with Seth, and Seth is... How was Seth today?
It sounds good. Good. I had some amazing food prepared by our lovely guest, our lovely host, and it was fantastic. The only thing is that would be a great burrito. Can you tell? Okay, so it was rice, eggs, bacon. What else was in it?
Onions.
Yeah. It was all mixed together with like a cream cheese.
Mm-hmm. Cream cheese.
Oh, so good. So good. What's it called if someone wanted to order it?
They call it a fill-up Friday.
A fill-up
Friday.
Okay.
So just to fill you in for those who are catching what Seth is saying, before we started the podcast today, Joseph was gracious enough to serve us his incredible coffee and a wonderful breakfast. So we're hot off eating that, so we're kind of lethargic right now. We're stuffed. It takes a lot to stuff up, too. I'm actually bringing a little bit home, so yeah, we appreciate that. So we got the full effect going on right now.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm. So Joseph, I have a paper here with your mission on it, and I'm going to read that for the folks out there. It says, our mission is to inspire and enable the Haitian population to develop a productive future, to help protect their basic human rights on their journey toward making a positive difference in their country's destiny. So tell us a little bit about that mission statement. How did you come up with it? What does it mean?
Well, if you, if anybody been to Haiti, and they're all such wonderful people, but yet they're also oppressed by the government. Basically, the basic living life, the fundamental of life, they don't have that privilege. They don't have the need, that everyday needs that they all need for people to live is pretty hard for them. But they are so sexual loving people, and any opportunity that you give them, they will get a hold of it and make something out of it. So for me, if I can do something to make a difference in their lives, to give them an opportunity just to live just basic life. So I think that's what this is all about when it started, is to be able to help them and create something for them so they can they can hold on to it and make something out of themselves so they can live a normal life.
When you say normal life or the basics of life, what does that mean? I'm thinking about folks listening that may not understand, what's going on or the culture there. Tease that out a little bit. What don't they have, as a people group, or what's preventing them from flourishing?
Well, Haiti is this: you have rich people in Haiti, and you have poor people in Haiti. It's like there's almost no in between. So those ones that are very unfortunate, it's hard for them to eat. It's hard for them to go to school. It's hard for them to support their family, even though they are very hardworking people, but they do not get that opportunity to be able to provide for their own family, to pay for their own education. Kids do not go to school in Haiti. If you don't have any money, you do not get to go to school. So you have 23, 25 years old young men that are still in middle school. Why? Because during the course of their growing up, is like they cannot finish a year of school, because if their parents do not have the money to send them to school, they get to send back. If they don't have a proper pen and pencil and notebook or uniform, because every school requires uniform, they get to send back home. So they might be lucky to finish maybe 6 months in the year, and they can finish school. So and then the next year they'll repeat the same class again. So the idea is to be able to have something there, so you can have and create some sort of ways that they can create some revenue, so they can pay for their own education. So they don't have to ask. They don't ask for a handout. They really don't. They just ask the opportunity to be able to give them something so they can work very hard and to support their own family, so they can pay for their own education. If you are poor in Haiti, you don't have that luxury. You can't go to school. So that's what I mean by that. And even furthermore, is just eating. A simple meal. We have a village that we adopted in Haiti. There's a school there that's about 300, 400 students there. They're required to pay 70 cents a day for them to eat lunch. Only 70 of those students are able to do that. The rest of them, if you don't give them some help, they don't get to eat. And you do not know if they go home or if they're going to have a meal at home. So these are the things that are just a basic need, basic human need that you need to be able to live, that they do not have that opportunity to be able to live as we are living here.
Well, I commend you for your mission here to help. That's, of course, that's personal for you, because you've came to the United States, correct?
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? When did you make the transition, and then why did you make the transition?
Well, I came here at 19 years old. I was living in Florida, then I moved to New York City, and I got a job in New York City, and then moved from New York City. My job moved in this area in Charlottesville.
Wow! So you went from New York City to Sharpsville.
To Charlottesville. So here I am in Charlottesville. I'm in manufacturing. I do manufacturing for a living. For 26 years, I was doing manufacturing, and then the disaster happened in 2010. The earthquake.
The earthquake in Haiti.
In Haiti, which killed over 200,000 people. In 2010, they were doing a fundraiser right here at Case Elementary School. Tracy Valentino get with all the kids and they went to local businesses and asked for donation. They asked for family members, friends for donations. They were able to raise $10,000. And they were presenting a check to Red Cross. They have asked me to be a guest speaker. A friend of mine called me and asked me to be a guest speaker. And when I went there, I was and I was blown away. The thing that the kids were able to do, the little sign, waving Haitian flags in the air, little phrase in Creole and French, because the fact would speak 2 languages in Haiti. I was speechless. I didn't know what to say to those kids until the following day. I asked the principal if she would allow me to go to the school and spend the day and go to class and speak to those kids, and then also express my gratitude for what they have done. It was I can't remember this. It's just I'm sitting here. I was speaking to one class, and it dawned on me. I'm like, if those kids can do this, to be able to raise that much money for Haiti, here I am as I was born and raised in Haiti. I said, I need to do something to go there and help, because I know how much hard of a time that they were having in Haiti after the earthquake. And I said, okay, I'm going to start a little coffee shop, because the fact is I know we have great coffee in Haiti. We love coffee in this country. So I say, if I can import a coffee from Haiti and I can have a little coffee shop here, that will give me a way to create some revenue so I can go there and help. And that's how it started, starting to do a little food and then taking to the coffee shop, and then people get to love it. And I was cooking at the Funny Farm on 18. It used to call it Funny Farm. I created a big grill so I can cook rice and beans and chicken on firewood, and people start buying the food from the flea market, from the Funny Farm, and then people get to love the food, and the rest of it is history, man. And here I am today, and I've worked in a restaurant and a full-time missionary, doing what we do. My wife and I we are very blessed, man. We are very blessed to be able to have an opportunity to be Jesus Christ's hands and feet, be the Lord's servant. That's how we end up here. That's how we're here.
And so, speaking of here, we're at your restaurant right now. Mm-hmm. For those who are listening, Seth and I stopped here yesterday for some coffee and to meet you. Tell us the story again of how you transitioned when you were looking for a restaurant, and how this place opened up, and how that God had worked his hand in getting you here.
Yeah. I was downtown Sharon, a little place downtown Sharon, and I was very, very fortunate to have a place that I was paying a very low rent to be able to start the coffee shop. And at the end, the landlord really didn't want to continue renting to us. He said that they will have to move somewhere else. And at the time, I remember the people that were working for me, Chase Whalen and Kaylin Luce, which is now my daughter, because I married her mother. I said, what we doing? Where we going? I'm like, I don't know. I said, but there will be a place. So a friend of mine called me and then told me about this place. And I didn't pay any attention. And a month later, his wife called me and told me. He said, Joseph, that place is still available. You need to call. He said, what do you have to lose? I said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. So I called. When I called, I was talking to the landlord, and I asked him how much he wanted for the place. When he told me, I'm like, oh, okay. I was just calling to find out, because there's no way I could afford the place for the price that he was asking. And as I was ready to leave the phone, and he kept on talking to me. He said, so what do you do? So I explained to him what I do. I explained to him the mission about the coffee shop, what I was looking for. And he said to me, I tell you what, just write on a proposal, send it to me, and I will see what we can do. He said, it seems like you are doing a good thing. I said, wow, are you kidding me? So I wrote a proposal, I sent him an email, which I was a little bit embarrassed to put what I could afford on paper to send it to him. And he messaged me the next day. He said, I'm sending you the list. Go ahead and look over it and tell me what you think. And then we'll take it from there. I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
Right.
How is this going to, even at that, even at what I told him I could afford, it still was going to triple the rent that I was paying downtown Sharon. So I was still praying and asking, how am I going to do this? Because if I would have to put it on paper, it wouldn't make sense. To be able, budget-wise, there's no way I could afford the place. So I was at home, we wake up first thing in the morning. I've never made hot chocolate on this stove. I never go in and boil milk and then make hot chocolate. And that morning, I felt like I needed to make some hot chocolate. So I had some chocolate and throw it in the pot, put some milk in there. And I went to the bathroom and came back. There was a perfect cross in the hot chocolate. I had a picture of it. And one day, all of those pictures of things that I've seen, signs that God have given me since we started this, they're all gonna be in our next place. They're all gonna be on the wall, so people with the stories, so people can see how actually God had directed me and keeping me in the right path. So that moment, I went and I told my fiance at the time, I said, you have got to be kidding me. Just come and see this. So at that time, we used to go to Grace Chapel. And late Pastor Larry, I remember I went in and had a conversation with him. I explained to him the whole thing. And he put his hand on my shoulders. And he said, Joseph, you're on your way. And I called the landlord on the next day. I said, we're taking the place.
And how many years ago was that?
So it's going on 6 years now.
6 years.
It's going on 6 years.
One of the things that I notice about the Haitian Sensation is you have lots of artifacts, pictures. You really have to see it, to be here in person. Now, when you were cooking, Seth and I were talking, and I asked about, up here you see a lady and it looks like she's drinking something. Mm-hmm. And there's another statue of her here. Mm-hmm. What is that? What is the name of it, and what is the story? That's
a guy. That's a guy.
All right, let's start off by correcting that it's a male, not a female.
Yeah, this is a guy. He is a very significant person for Haitian people.
Okay.
I remember when I was working, I was in my office. I wasn't there with a friend of mine, Mark Rinelli. He and I were talking. I was always telling him, I said, I'm going to start a company. And he said, I told him, I said, I'm going to call it Haitian Sensation. And I remember we were drawing things on paper, and I was telling him, how about this? And how about that? And I came up with a logo. Mm-hmm. It was basically a whole bunch of children holding hands around the world. I had a map of the world, and there were a whole bunch of children holding hands. That's what will form the logo. And then we'll say one on top and the bottom, Haitian Sensation. And it was actually final, really. That's what I was going to do. And that happened, I was talking to my oldest daughter, and I was telling her about the company that I was going to start, and she called me the next day. She said, Dad, she said, you remember that guy you always telling us the story when we were little? She said, I think you should incorporate him in your logo. I said, you know what, baby girl, you are absolutely right. So that's how I put him in the center of the logo, and then Haitian on top and Sensation on the bottom. Well, his name is Neg Mahon.
Okay.
It's Nemon. Neg, Megmon. Neg Mahon. You can Google him.
Okay.
He was the very first slave in Haiti. And actually, you can see the what on his ankle.
Yes.
Yeah. The chain is still on his ankle.
Right.
The thing he's holding on the bottom is a machete. You will have to see it, like this one here. If you look in there, if you pick that up on the other side he's holding a wooden machete.
Okay, I got it.
So that's what I make. We this one is carved in mahogany wood. That's what this one is made out of. The thing that he's drinking, you see him as he's drinking. He's
Right.
not drinking. That's a conch shell. He's blowing out of.
Okay.
So he escaped as the first slave. As you know, Haiti, there was sons of slave in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
So he escaped. Every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, he goes to the highest mountain in Haiti, and he was blowing in the conch shell to let all the other slaves know that they need to have courage and do the same thing that he did. That's why this man is very, very significant for the Haitian people.
How do you say his name?
Neg Maon, Negmon.
Man, am I glad I asked that question. That's awesome.
Okay, Neg Maon.
That's really cool. And I love that it's in your logo. Yeah, I'm ignorant and I asked.
Actually, no, I think I misspelled it. So it's Neg. So you go with Neg N-E. Maon is M-A-R-O-N. I forgot the M-A.
Okay.
M-A-R-O-N.
Awesome.
Neg Maon.
What an awesome story. And I love how that encapsulates what you're doing and the story of the Haitian Sensation. It's that courage and that willingness to overcome and believe in something greater and something bigger that God has called you to. But I like how it doesn't just end with you, right? You're blessed to be a blessing. So this whole thing encapsulates that, right? Everything you do is not just for you. It doesn't end with you. You're finding ways to bless others, and you're blessing the people in Sharon just by your witness, your testimony, making great food and having great coffee. But it's even going further than that and helping your people in Haiti. So this is really nice.
Yeah,
really, really cool. I'm glad we're here to help elevate that.
Yeah, you have been an answer to a lot of people's prayers. I can guarantee that. I mean, even just the fact that we had breakfast today, right? Whenever we pray the Lord's Prayer, what do we always ask for? For daily bread, right? So we pray for God to feed us, and that happened today. So that was a prayer that on a small scale, that was answered today. One of the things, like a quote that before we did the Leader2Leader podcast segment, we would do a segment where we would take a quote and we would read it and then we would discuss it and we would talk about it. And there was a quote that was on the list of us to get to that, as we're talking, is going through my head. It's by Francis Chan, who said, "Sometimes I want to ask God why he allows poverty, famine, and injustice when he could just do something about it. But I'm afraid to ask because he might just ask me the same question." And I look about what you're doing, and it's such a cool thing. And when Pastor Anthony was talking, it hit me, which was by you wanting to bless and help the people in Haiti, which is such a cool thing. You're also helping and blessing the people who are here as well. And very few times when people do mission work does it bless two different countries. And I think that's it. I don't know why it just didn't hit me until just now, that by you having this shop, by selling coffee and selling food and just being you, that you're helping one of the most prosperous nations that's ever existed, as well as helping a country that is dear and nearest to your heart. And that's such a cool thing, and it just really goes to show how God can take what we do and just bless so many people with it.
It's funny that you mentioning this, because what we do here, that's the reason why we do mission trip. That's the reason why we do mission trip. We take people from here, group of people, every year we go to a mission trip in Haiti. We adopted this one little village, and which, by the way, that was the village I was born in. That village.
Okay.
And we go there and we choose a project. And the project that we chose, we raise money through our different events that we do, through the restaurant. And we go there, we purchase all the material, we hire people from the village, and we all work together in that project. The beauty of it is that we are blessed as a country. The United States of America blessed. We are blessed, and we are very fortunate to be in this country. If you were born in this country, you are fortunate. So when we go there, through our mission trip, to the things that we are doing there, those people get to come back here with a different perspective. Because from the very beginning for me, my mindset is trying to convert it, every single person that goes to a mission trip with us, converted their mind to be mission-minded. Once we make that decision to become mission-minded and we understand mission, selfishness goes away. You're no longer a selfish person. You're looking at what it is that I can do every single day I get out of bed. What is it that I can do to help somebody else?
Yeah.
You put yourself last, which that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
We don't look for recognition when we do something good, because that's what we're supposed to do. Is to do good things to people. So as you are helping people, now all of a sudden you started to notice area in your life that you didn't notice before, how you can help somebody else. You started seeing that your next door neighbor's grass might need cut while I'm cutting mine. My goodness, I have the ability to cut mine. It doesn't take me long to cut theirs.
Yeah.
Let me cut theirs. But they can shovel their snow. It might be an elderly person. It might be a person that are hurt.
Yeah.
You help them. You shovel the snow. You don't look for a thank you. You don't look for recognition. You just do it because you know that's what God wants us to do. That's what we are supposed to do, is to help one another.
Yeah.
So through that, through mission, you're starting to have and be that mission-minded, because now you get to see all of those people in Haiti that barely have nothing, but yet they have everything. They have a faith in God. They will give you the shirt off their back. They will offer you everything they have because they are grateful that you are there, because you bring them hope. The government's not doing anything for them. Their hope is through their prayers and the people that God brought into their life every single year.
Yeah.
To be able to see your face, to be able to develop that relationship with you, to be able to help you understand how fortunate we are here.
Yeah.
If we can and see how joyful and how loving they are, even though they do not have any material things. So imagine if we can take all that love that they have, all that joy, all that faith, and then come here with it, with all the material thing that we have, all the blessing that we have, how much we'll be able to help other people.
Yeah.
How much we'll be able to put our differences aside and then just join in together as human beings. As human beings, guess how beautiful that will be.
Well, I hear two real huge spiritual principles here. You know, the first believer Paul calls is Abraham. And when Abraham was called, if you read that account in Genesis, that God called him out of his country to be a blessing, he was blessed to be a blessing. And Abraham was blessed, and his descendants were going to be a blessing to the whole world. And so that's one of the first principles I hear through this story is that you have been blessed to be a blessing. And then, Seth teased this out a little bit earlier about, your blessing the people who are closest to you here, but also in Haiti, Jesus tells the parable of the mustard seed. And in that little seed, it grows, and it grows very large. And even the bystanders, the secondary blessings of the birds and other things can catch rest and can catch, when it's really hot out and it's scorching hot, they can rest underneath the huge leaves so the sun's not beating down on them. So it's giving even secondary blessings, the mustard seed, as it's growing to everything around it. And that's what kind of like what you're doing here. Primarily your vision was for Haiti, but secondary, it's the people right around here that are being blessed in many ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah.
For me personally, one of my litmus tests when I know I'm sitting across it from a mature believer is that principle of being a conduit for Christ. And that is the blessings go in you and then they go through you. When I see someone who's naturally doing that, I know they're a mature believer. Okay? When I hear that the blessings go in you and just stay in you, and it's all about you, I know there needs growth there. They need to grow in their faith. When I see people who's naturally saying, I've been blessed to be a blessing, or I have this skill, but it doesn't stop with me, I'm learning how to use this skill, and I'm going to use it to help someone else. I know they get it. Like that's a factor for me that I know is a litmus test and go, there's a level of maturing and maturity with that person, that skill hasn't just sat with them. They're not just using it for them. They understand that there's a bigger picture, that God blessed them to be a blessing.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well said.
So let's get back to the restaurant real quick, because Seth and I are both sitting with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
This is, again, something we learned yesterday. And so I'm going to read from the cup, because the cups are all, there's a hand-written inspiration on each cup. And I'll read mine, okay, and then Seth can read his. Mine says, don't use your energy to worry, use your energy to believe. Okay, so that's what mine says.
Mine says, and this goes into what we were just talking about, it says, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. It's such a cool quote. I mean, like that is awesome.
So what led you to write on your cups?
Actually, this is how God works, and when you are doing something, you do not make it about yourself. You make it all about giving Him all the glory. He's going to bring people in your life, in things that you do, to help them do things, to continue giving Him all the glory, because this was actually my daughter, which that actually. Kaylin, that what she used to work with me, which is that came up with this idea of writing on cups. And then she left, and then I have a wonderful lady here, Tammy, that she looks for quotes everywhere to write quotes. She does an amazing job. My wife, everybody getting together to come up with different quotes. My wife writes cups when she has the time to write on cups and then bring them here. And Tammy comes here every Wednesday and Friday and Saturday. She just sit here and write on cups. And you know what? This is something that we can take that very lightly, But for what it's doing to people, it is amazing how something very simple, and God will take that to change people's perspectives in life, to change their day, to change their mindset, to change their faith, because it's happening every day. Every single cup of coffee, whether if you get a small cup of coffee, a large cup of a medium cup of coffee, or coffee stirs, iced coffee, the clear cups, all of them have a message on them. Take the time to do it on them. And it's amazing to see how many tears that is shed over those cups. People, we live right here we all right here by the hospital. A lot of people have their loved one that are sick or dying right here at the hospital. They'll come here and then stop and get a cup of coffee. They will get the cup of coffee, and all of a sudden they just stop and tears pouring down. They're like, I needed to say this. Mm-hmm. I needed to read those words. Mm-hmm. This is a reassurance, and it's always like the right cup for the right person. Mm-hmm. That person will get the cups and will like, wow, I got it. Those words help people make their decision in some difficulty decision that they're trying to make, whatever is to move on to another job, whatever is to move to an apartment, whatever to just get out of a toxic relationship. I'm telling you, those things happen. This person come here, look at the cups, sing those words, all of a sudden that helped them make a decision of some difficult decision that they were trying to make. Or we strengthen their faith, give them the focus back. So for me, that's what it's about. I can really care less if I sell for $50 a day or $400 a day. When I see somebody shed tears over these cups, those words, that to me, there is no amount of money in the world that you can give me that will replace that. Mm-hmm. That will replace that, because I'm not taking the money with me to go anywhere. Those memories, those moments that you see that you change somebody's life, somebody's day by just those words in the coffee cups, man, you have to be a believer and a God servant to understand the significance of that, to be able to see that and to see the joy in somebody's face and to know how much it means to you. Mm-hmm. Because to me, that's what I call serving God, and let God does his work through very little thing that we take for granted. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you spoke about Haiti, and the general attitude of folks is one of, there's not much, but there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of gratitude, selfless. When you came to America, what's the contrast? What can Americans learn in general as a whole? What are we lacking in America? What can we learn from Haiti, from the Haitian people?
I think for me, I think we lack of gratitude. Gratitude. There's something that there are two things that I take very, very, very seriously, because I think if you can do those two things and do them faithfully, everything will be put in perspective for you. Self-accountability and gratitude.
Okay.
Gratitude. When whatever it is that we do in life, whatever that happened to you, you hold yourself accountable.
That's you're saying there's two things that are important. One is self-accountability.
And gratitude.
Okay. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Yeah, sure. And gratitude. Because those two things, if you hold yourself accountable, you know how to hold yourself accountable for everything you do in life, you will never have to point fingers at no one. Everything that happened in your life, you're going to look at yourself first. What kind of an improvement that I can make? What is it that I can do differently? And having the gratitude to have people around you, to have the gratitude that God is going to put you in different situations. Just to be grateful that you are in those situations, and to know that God is always with you. You have that gratitude for God. To be grateful to have God by your side at all times. All times. Because once you believe, you're a believer. You know he will never leave your side. It doesn't matter what you are going through. So for me, it's not it's not so much of people do not have gratitude. I think it's not being exposed to a different environment. If you grow up here, you do not know any different because you grew up with what you have. Mm-hmm. You grew up with the material things that we have. You grew up that you can get up in the morning, you can eat, right? And if you don't have anything to eat, you can go to a church, they'll feed you. Those people here do not have that luxury, right? I know there are people here in this country that are having tough time. I do understand that. And I'm trying my very best to meet those people and see what I can do to help them. Because that's what we're supposed to do, to help those that cannot help themselves. And to help them help themselves by seeing and looking at things at a different perspective. So I think if we can show gratitude for everything that we have, it doesn't matter how little it is, be grateful. Be grateful that we have it. Be grateful that we can eat a meal. Be grateful that somebody is in your life that if you can't have anything, that person can hand you something. Be grateful if you have good family. Be grateful if you have a supportive wife at home that is supporting you into doing what you do. Be grateful. Hold yourself accountable for whatever it is that happened. Whether if you are in a relationship, whether if you are at work, whether if it's a friendship that you have with somebody, whether people that you are meeting every day, hold yourself accountable because this is the only person that you can control is yourself. So if you have that relationship with God, you have that fear for God. So you're always going to keep yourself in check. You're always going to hold yourself accountable because you know God can see right through your heart. God see what you are doing. So if you hold yourself accountable, you're constantly looking for progress in your life. How to become a better person.
It's very good. Very good.
I like it a lot. So, personally, I gotta know. Obviously, you love the Bible. You love the whole Bible. Is there a specific verse or chapter of the Bible that stands up above all the rest? One that you look to all the time and you've really kept close to your heart?
Romans 8 verse 31. It's right on the door in my food truck out there.
Okay.
If God is for us, who can be against us? With that, I take that it doesn't matter what I do in life. I don't look at what people will do to me, who will talk about me, because I will never be perfect. I'm not a perfect man. Nor that I will ever be perfect. But what I say to you, you can take that to the bank. If I say something to you, this is what I'm going to do, I don't need to sign any papers. I will do exactly what I said I'm going to do. That goes back by self-accountability. So if you do believe that you are a Christ believer and you know that he will never forsake us, what do you need to worry about? You don't need to worry about anybody else. Because you know that if he's for me, nobody can touch me. No one can touch me. With that, I surrounded myself into everything else that I do. And try to be as faithful as I can be. And be as truthful as I can be. And hold myself accountable along the way of everything I do every single day. Don't ever point fingers at nobody. Don't ever go and talk to somebody about somebody behind their back. Be a truthful person. And always tell the truth, because I know whatever it is happening, that you cannot be against me.
Now, is there, it's great, it's awesome. Is there a person in the Bible now who you really identify with, or that you find yourself getting fed by through their story?
I would say Joseph.
Okay.
I would say Joseph in the Bible.
Old Testament Joseph.
Yes.
That's my guy.
I would say Joseph in the Bible. That's a big shoe to fill. But he's my really driving. Doesn't matter what he went through. There are stories in my life I can tell you. And if I tell you those stories, you will say, wow, that is Joseph. To know that it doesn't matter what somebody will say about me, it doesn't matter what somebody will do to me. I have to stay positive. I have to say to myself that I will not have no enemies. Doesn't matter what somebody does to me. You could choose to be my enemy, but I will not be yours. So everything I do, whatever situation that you're in, you can always call me. It doesn't matter what you've done to me. I will be there.
That's cool. If you were sitting at a table with Joseph and you had to ask one question, what would you ask him?
How did you stay so humble? How did you stay so grounded?
That's a good one. Yeah.
How did you stay so grounded? Because he stayed grounded, he stayed level-headed, have great faith, and stay faithful.
Yeah.
To know that it didn't matter what was going to happen, that God was going to take care of him. He has to stay true to himself.
Anything else?
Yeah. Very cool.
Alright, that'll be ready in about 10 minutes.
So all of the restaurant mission, all that stuff, just let's take another path here. Just what do you do for fun? How do you unwind? What hobbies do you have?
I love golf.
Really?
Love golf.
How did that happen?
The very first time when I was in manufacturing, a friend of mine took me to golf into a group of sales guys, and I was the operation manager of the company, and I went there for the first time, and something clicked. Something put things at perspective for me. I'm like, golf is life. Golf is life. If you look at the game of golf, it's a perfect example how to live life.
All right. Explain.
If you can play a game of golf, and at the end of the game, during the end of the game, at the end of it, you are laughing and have a good time, mission accomplished. Because golf, you can be playing golf perfectly, everything can be going right, and all of a sudden, it's like in a split of a second, every ball you hit has a mind on its own, it goes a different direction. Everything you try to do to correct it cannot be corrected. So if you can play that game and have those difficulties and stay joyful and happy, mission accomplished. It's the same thing with life. You can have everything is going great in life, all of a sudden nothing you do goes right. But you have to have the faith. Is there something that God is trying to teach me? Do I need to stay still and take a deep breath, close my eyes, and then stand still? So you can regain the good moment.
That's almost, you can connect that back to your Joseph story in a real way, because his life was like a roller coaster or like that long golf game where a lot of things didn't go right for him.
Yeah.
And you see that at the end of his life. Well, maybe it wasn't the end, but it was the end of the story.
Yeah.
Where dad dies and the brothers are all sweating it because they think they're about to get their heads lobbed off. And he has that famous saying in Genesis 50:12 where he says, what you have meant for evil, God has meant for good. And so he, at the end of his golf game, right, where lots of things went wrong, he somehow, somewhere, like you said, he was grounded enough, he had the perspective enough to where he actually understood something else was going on. here than just what we can see, touch, and feel. That he's going through these things for another reason. And sometimes we don't see the reason. He was lucky enough to see the reason. That doesn't always happen. But either way, his brothers didn't see it, but he saw it.
Yeah.
So at the end of his golf game, and what a number he played 18 long holes. That's what he did, right? So couple quick questions, but one last one for golf. Are you competitive? Like, do you go out and try to beat your scores all the time, or do you just play for fun?
Very competitive, because that's the progress of life, right? Everything you do, you're trying to be better, right? Everything you do, you're trying to hold yourself accountable.
So do you golf by yourself ever? Or is it with people?
I golf with people. I golf with myself. I go to Dum Dum when I had the time to go in and walk and just play some golf and trying to learn. I'm a pretty decent golfer too.
Okay. I can't hit anything off of the irons. I don't know what I'm doing there.
I went golfing one time. True story. I was with a friend of mine who did golf, and first ball I hit ran him right in the temple. And like I'm talking like he couldn't see out of his eye for a couple seconds. He was not happy at all, and I'm not kidding. I didn't hit not one more ball the whole time because I felt so bad, and I haven't played golf since then.
Yeah, well, it was traumatizing. You almost killed your friend.
As soon as the ball like left and I saw it go right. I mean, it wasn't even close to going down the center. It just went up and around, and he just pumped right there.
That's a terrible feeling. He almost killed his buddy golfing.
That's when I just took the thing and I was just like, "Yep, not for me," and I just put it away.
Some things you know right away.
That was one, but but the golf and basketball are the two things. Like when I see people playing them, I'm like, like when I see people play golf, they look like they're having so much fun. Like, I want to do that, but at the same time, I almost killed someone last time. I don't know if I'm ready to do that again. And basketball obviously was never one of my strong points ever. So that's pretty cool that you like golf.
So let's wrap things up with two quick questions. Okay. So going forward, where do you see yourself? What's Joseph doing in 10 or 15 years from now?
Living everyday life and looking for the sign. Listen to that voice. Know where God is telling me to go. The sign that I will see when I'm having a challenging day. I don't identify any day as bad day. I refuse to use that word, bad day, because God isn't going to put you to bad days. He's going to put you to challenging days, so you can learn something. Because he's preparing you for something better, for something else, how to help somebody else. You might be going through something because you need to go through that so you can relate to the life of someone that you're going to help in the future. So I always stay balanced, trying to do that. I will see myself. People ask me why you were doing here, Joseph. Why are you in this location? This is a very bad location. Everything that comes here doesn't last. I said, well, God has his hand in this one. Well, here we are going on 6 years here in this location. God's going to tell me, and I think he already gave me the sign where to go next. And I'm listening to that. And I'm taking it day by day and not having plans, but listen to the voice. Listen to the sign. Pay attention. Because he's going to put me in the next spot. He's always going to put me in the right place. In the right place. So I want to continue listening to that voice for as much as I can. I've asked him into my prayers to always keep me here a little bit longer because I want to do a little bit more for you. I want to serve more. I want to make a difference with what I have. It's not about how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. So for me, it's continue helping people. Through this valley, there are a lot of people in this valley that need help. We have a lot of good-hearted people here. They have good heart. Have some great people. You have to connect with those people and help them. Identify and help them know who they are. And for those that are believers, to help them understand that you are Christ's ambassador. You are Christ's ambassador. So you represent Christ. If you're a believer, you represent him. Represent him well. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is by listening and see those little signs and hear that little voice that telling me where to go. So that's my plan. My plan is to follow him.
Your plan is to follow his plan.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
last question. So now we'll look back. If you were somehow to travel back in time and you meet a young Joseph, 14, 19 years old, what advice would you give you?
Be you. Be you. Don't make things complicated. Have a faith in Christ. Believe in him. And he will guide you. And along the way, do not, by no circumstances, do not deviate from who you are. Don't follow people. Just follow Christ. And through that, you can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. There's nothing that you can do to mess it up if you pay attention and if you follow him wholeheartedly. He will put you in the right situation, in the right path. He will meet the right people. It will get you to where you need to be. Because I've seen my life from a little boy to all the way from a little village in Haiti, and to come here to this country not knowing how to speak a word of English, to be able to be where I am today, what I have accomplished in my life. Who am I to draw that? Who am I to accomplish all that without Christ in my life? I've known Christ ever since I was a little boy. And today, for me to be where I'm at, I have the most amazing woman in my life as my wife. That is my work, my support, my solid support system that is helping me every day to becoming a better me. My children, all my life, grandchildren. You watching your life developing in a person that you would never imagine that you will become. Why? Is because I stay grounded. From a very early age, I stay grounded. I believe in Christ. I do the best as I can do. And be true to myself. Be who I am. Joseph does not change. Joseph has matured. But the person that I am, I've been that person at a very, very early age. So that's the advice I will give him.
Very good. Listen, Joseph, this was a great honor for Seth and I to be here today. I want to thank you for your time, for your delicious food, for your coffee. And my hope is that this doesn't end here with us. I hope that we can become friends and do some things outside of this. Listen, if you live in the Sharon area or, around Sharon, you got to get out to the Haitian Sensation. Try his coffee, try the food. You will not be disappointed. Is there a phone number? 724-983-5318. You're on Facebook?
Yes.
Check out the Haitian Sensation. I'm sure you can get a glimpse into the restaurant there. This is Anthony Clauditus, pastor at Faith Pres, sitting with Seth and Joseph, saying, I hope you have a great week, and we look to connecting with you next time.